So I was here the day he started. We was all downtown at Station 1 in the library at shift change. He came in and introduced himself. Hey, I'm Rich Bowen, new employee. And so Chris Davis was sitting there. Chris Davis looked up and said, Rich, well, do you go by Richard or Rich or Dick or what do you want us to call you? And Harvey said, anything but Dick. So, of course, Chris Davis, being Chris, he said, okay, we're going to call you Dick. No nickname for Richard. And Harvey's like, I don't like it. Right off the bat, he was being Harvey. He said, I don't like it. So Chris looked at him and said, well, what's your first name? He said, well, Richard is my first name. He said, well, then what's your middle name? He said, my middle name's Harvey, but nobody calls me that. And from then on, it was Harvey. And I didn't know it until just right after he died that nobody else other than the fire department called him Harvey. Everybody called him Rich. Only the people in the fire department called him Harv. And I didn't realize that. It was the morning we took breakfast over to Noah's house for the family. And Christina said, you know you all are the only ones that called him Harv. And I didn't realize it until then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So he got started. How did you work with him much? Or
yes, I worked with him quite a bit.
Where was your first assignment with him?
Here, this station, at Station 6.
Station 6. Okay.
Yeah.
So what rank would you have been and what would his rank?
At that time, I was a driver. He was a firefighter. And then I worked with him again later on as I was a captain. And he drove for me for a little while.
So as far as the job goes, what's the things you take away from him, his job being here at the Kingsport Fire Department? What's some of the qualities of work that he had?
Very passionate about the fire service. He loved it. He could be very loud at times, get on people's nerves. But that was just him. He was passionate about it. He wanted everything to be right. He wanted everything to be perfect. He wanted the guys to have the best equipment they could possibly have. And if they didn't, he let the chief know about it. And it rubbed a lot of people wrong the way he did it, but he actually had everybody's best interest in his heart when he did it. And a lot of people don't know that.
Harvey was my first full-time captain, and I worked for Harvey more than anybody.
Yeah,
that I worked
you worked with him a lot.
Close to 5 years out of the 11 I've been here, he was my captain. So I worked with him downtown at the busy station. I worked with him at a couple of the slower stations. We got to be real close. It's kind of funny with me and him because we're about as opposite as two people can be. And we got to be really, he's 7 foot tall and I'm 4 foot tall, and he's loud and I'm not. And we're not alike at all, but man, he'd rolled over for me, man. He'd have took a bullet for you. He was what they've been saying. He was his own guy, man. If he was on your side, you knew he was on your side. Like he had your back straight to the end of the world, did he not?
Yes, he did.
As long as you were in the right, you were doing your job right, he'd go to bat for you, and I never had to worry. He was high strung, and a lot of people had to get used to him being high strung. But the thing about him is at work, he could carry on and being out of shape about stuff, but when it come time to fight fire and to command the scene, that son of a gun was dialed in. Him and this guy right here too, specifically, man, they were two guys that I worked for that he said go, I don't care what it looked like, I don't care, I never thought a question about it. If he said go, it's okay, we can go. He wouldn't send you into something. We went into some bad stuff too, but he had a good feel for his guys, and he knew.
But he was right there in it with you.
He never sent you into anything he wasn't there with, and he would right up to him.
He was an excellent fireground
He'd throw that coat on,
commander.
Throw that pack on, and he was in the fire with you.
Yeah.
We had a house fire up in Zone 3, and I was riding on the engine from downtown with it. I said, I'm literally just barely over 5 foot tall, and Harvey was close to 6'8", 6'7" or something. We're in there and we're trawling around. We got a lot of fire out. We're trying to find the ceiling one. And them guys are in there crawling around. Of course, I don't have to crawl a whole lot. But I come up behind Harvey, and he kind of sits up, and I look down, and he's about right here. To me, I'm standing straight up. Harvey's on his knees. I'm like, Harvey, it ain't always so bad being my height. And he looks up, and he goes, man, you're short. You're an awful short guy. And he said a few other things too, but it was just funny because he's down there crawling around on his knees, and I was telling him sometimes it's a little advantage to being my height because I don't got to crawl around on my knees all the time. There's several. We fought a big fire on Union Street together. Me and him were first doing on it, and that one kind of got a little famous because we had some issues with water supply on that thing.
Yeah.
But, that was a long day. I had a lot of long days.
That was a very long day.
Long day. A lot of stories out of Station 8, just him just getting tore up about things with politics and with, just fire department stuff in general. That he just wanted his place to be perfect. He wanted it to be the best fire department in East Tennessee. And
He did.
He was passionate about it. He very much was. He was fun to work for, and he was a good friend. He was one of them guys. If he was on your side, like I said, he was on your side all the way. I mean, you couldn't have found a more loyal guy than him to stand up for you, take up for you. If you needed something, he was there for you. We had a lot of good times fighting fire and running calls. And threw down on some pretty good ones. I mean, bad good ones. Some eventful times. And I enjoyed my time with him a lot. Glad I got to know him and got to be friends with him and got to work for him. He was a good one. Man, he taught me a lot. There's, like I said, there's 3 or 4 guys particularly, and he's one of them that when I came to work, they sent me out to Station 5, and I'd never been a fireman. I'd never worked in a fire department before. I'd never fought a fire, and I was out in an outline station working for him, so he taught me how to drive. And it was kind of funny because he was like, you shouldn't be out here. You should be downtown, but you got to learn how to drive that freaking truck. That's all you do. Like, he was obsessed, like, you're my driver. When my driver's not here, I'm sorry, you just been here 5 minutes, but starting today, you got to learn how to drive that truck because it ain't everybody's responsibility. And he was right. I mean, it was a different situation for me, but then a lot of guys that were new because that's the way it worked out. Me and another guy got sent out, but he was the captain. And he needed me to be able to step up and drive, so he pushed it through and got me spun up to where I could at least get him where he needed to go and get him water on the fire. And I think he did a pretty good. They wore me out down there at 5 because I got out of the downtown stuff, a lot of stuff, the rookie stuff, and getting a hard time. And he told me straight out, he goes, don't think you're going to come out here and get away with not catching all the crap new guys are supposed to catch. And for a year, man, he was making short jokes up that had never been invented before. I mean, he wore me out that first year. I think that's part of why we got to be such good friends, because he thought, man, if he can take what I put him through last year, then he's all right.
Yeah.
Because he was determined that he was going to pour out the 8 guys downtown's worth of abuse on the new guy that I was supposed to get that first year. And I did. And after that, man, we turned into real good buddies. Just I think a lot because I held up on that. One of the cool things about Harvey, and y'all mentioned it a minute ago, he was high strung and he was aggravated, but buddy, from the minute that girl got pregnant and he knew he was going to have a granddaughter, he could talk about it, and it looked like a light flew over his face or something, man.
He was a totally different person.
And I got a granddaughter that's just a few months older than his, so we were kind of getting there at the same time. And we'd talk about, how much he was looking forward to it. And then, man, when she was born, I mean, he had already been hitting me up, how is it holding that new baby and all this other stuff. And then his granddaughter comes along a month and a half, 2 months later, and if he was still here, that girl would own him like nobody's ever owned him before. That little baby would. I mean, he was ecstatic to be looking at. I mean, he was.
Yeah, he could be off on a big tangent, going off about something, and you could say, "Harv, calm down, man. You got that granddaughter." And he would just melt. As soon as you said that,
Yeah.
he would shut up and chill out.
Come in with that phone, hey, check this out, man. He'd
Yeah.
send me pictures, stuff like that. And it was funnier because Harv was so, but he was just a big old teddy bear when it come to that baby. I mean, I would love to have seen her leading him around by the big old finger, just telling him what to do and when to do it and how to do it. She would have owned him for the rest of his life.
Absolutely.
If he'd have been able to see her grow up. And I hope she knows. I hope she really gets the gist of just how much he was just on fire for her. He loved that kid, man.
Yeah.
He really did. That was one of the coolest things about, seeing Harv, just how much she melted him when she came along. It was pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, he taught me a lot about fighting fire. He taught me a whole lot about how to go about reading smoke and I ain't by any means claiming to be greatest firefighter in the world, but a lot of what I do know, he worked with me on, and we trusted each other. We had a lot of, just the connection. I knew what he wanted, and he knew I knew what he wanted. He wasn't going to have to be on a medical call or anything else, and I knew what to throw him, and he was a good paramedic. He was a really good paramedic.
He was.
He cared about that. I mean, he tried to say he did, but he did. When it come time to throw down on somebody, it bothered him if it didn't go right.
Yeah.
Taught me how to and not to deal with these calls. He had some stuff got to him a lot that he would tell you, don't let this get to you the way it gets to me, or figure out a way to deal with it different, that type of thing. If you met the two of us separately, you wouldn't have thought. I don't think me and Harv would have wound up being as good friends as we were, because we're just personality-wise, man. I mean, I go home, sit around the house. I don't do a whole lot. And he liked to get out and run around. But we got together on calls. We got together at work, and outside of work even. We just kind of clicked, man. We just turned into buddies. And it was pretty cool. Pretty cool deal. I used to get up in the back of engine 5, which is probably the smallest engine we got. And we'd get a fire alarm, we'd have a big one on fire. He'd be down there on the floor, with this big long self, and I'd be standing up in the back of that engine getting dressed. Hey, Harv, don't you wish you could do this? And he'd go, no, never one day in my life did I ever wish I could stand up in the back of a fire truck tripping. Which is a good thing, because you can't, I can't.
Yeah, that is one advantage.
Yeah, there's he did the plasma deal for the golf money. We're coming back to Station 5 one day. We stopped by the Dollar General in Lynn Garden. And he never used that card for anything hardly to go on golf trips. So he generally saved up. I bet he had $4,000 on that card. We pull in the Dollar General. And I get my stuff and a few things and come out, and the driver comes out, and Harv's in there for a few minutes, and we're waiting on him. He comes walking out, and he's just see him mumbling under his breath. He goes, you ain't gonna believe what just happened. I said, what? He said, stupid thing wouldn't take my plasma card. He said, the Lynn Garden Dollar General just turned down my plasma card, and some little woman had to pay for my groceries. He goes, I got $4,500 on that card. Somebody's getting an earful when we get back. And he called the number on the back and raised cane with somebody, but it was just funny watching him shaking that head about somebody having to buy his stuff at the Dollar General with his plasma card.
That's awesome.
And got up on the Stone Drive one time, coming from Lynn Garden down the call station. The Engine 4 was out down in Allendale. I don't know if y'all know about Harv's road rage stories, but he'd get kind of aggravated in traffic.
Yes, he
Just as we get up on Stone Drive, it's 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's pretty busy, and this woman cut us off. And he lost his mind. Like he was just in the truck, but he was there.
First responders, what has your name of the name, file, record,
I'm not going to obviously repeat. I couldn't repeat. I'll just say it was a constant stream of how much he wanted to tell that woman she can't drive for 15 minutes, 15 miles down there, 10 miles. However far it was all the way to the end of the county line right there at Allendale. And he's still just blue in the face. Just, people can't drive. They can't see this big old freaking yellow fire truck right in front of them. They come right in front of him. And we pull him out to the nursing home. And Central Dispatch, he just drives on the scene. Just as calm. I mean, I about fell out of the truck, man. I mean, he was red-faced and as soon as he hit that button, you'd have thought he just rolled out of bed. Like, I said, how do you do that? And he goes, a lot of experience. I used to kid him about that one. I was like, I don't see how you cut it off that fast. But that was what was good about him as an officer, because he could be thinking about golf or thinking about whatever, but when there was a fire, he just knew what to do on the scene. Like, he was good. He was a really good fire officer. We've lost a lot of good fire officers here in the last year or two, just to retirement and stuff. And we miss him, and he's one of them that I miss working for a whole lot, and I miss being buddies with him. I just miss him giving him random texts at 10:30 at night.
Yeah.
Stuff, you know.
Stuff.
My wife got to where she was like, my wife for 2 or 3 months would be like, it's weird not having him text you at 10 o'clock at night with some off the wall, you know, funny, whatever, out of the blue, you know.
Yeah. And we had a big group text. There's 3 or 4 or 5 of us in it. And Harv was always, 10:30 at night, he was going on with something. And if you didn't reply to him, he'd call you.
Yeah.
Hey, are you mad? What's wrong with you? Are you seeing this text? He wanted you to be fully engaged in the conversation.
Yes.
We started out as co-workers. We worked together for 28 years. And through working together, we didn't work together a lot in the later years because both of us were captains, so we were at different stations. But through that, both of us loved to play golf. We played golf together at least once a week. Became very, very close friends. Some of the conversations we had on the golf course, he told me stuff that he'd never told anybody else, and I told him stuff I'd never told anybody else. And I'll take those secrets to my grave with me. He was just a dang on good friend. Do anything in the world for you. And, I miss him every day. I think about him all the time. There's been so much happened here recently where I thought, I'm going to pick up the phone and call Harvey and see what he thinks about that. And, it's just, like I said, he was the best friend a guy could ever have. Do anything in the world for you. He would call me up a lot of times at 10 o'clock at night. And I'd answer the phone, he'd say, hey, what are you doing? That's what he said every time. Hey, what are you doing? And he'd just be wanting to fuss about something. Or talk about something or just want to vent. And I would do the same to him. I'd be feeling bad or something on my mind, I'd call him, just vent to him. And like I said, it hurts so bad, and I miss him so bad. But at the same time, I also feel very blessed to have had a friend like that. Because most people will go through life and never know what it's like to have an actual friend that's that close. People have their spouse that they're close to, but to have a friend that you can count on like that's that close to you and that you can tell anything in the world to is something very special.